Hello, dear starshines. Welcome to today's lunchtime chat. My name is Christina, and I am an acceleration expert. And we are here to talk about those topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds, way showers, and new paradigm visionaries. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So for those of you who are new to the conversation, I'm an acceleration expert and I work with people all over the world. And what I'm doing here in this particular broadcast is I do my best to offer a liberated perspective to the kinds of challenges us starseeds, way showers face. Because we have capacities, we have awarenesses and abilities that perhaps are not embraced by our larger human family, and therefore the way we see things is very rarely talked about, let alone do we get like a open, liberated perspective of these kinds of things. So I'm doing to the best of my ability to provide that liberated perspective and hopefully open you to other thoughts and ideas other than what the mainstream has put forward, other than what, the program is giving you. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, Carol, good to see you. Thank you for being here. All right, so there's been lots and lots of things going on as always. These are exciting, exciting times on planet Earth. And for you tuning in here, if you are identifying as a star seed, or if you are identifying as a way shower or new paradigm visionary, this time right now that's happening is your time. This is the time for you to step up into your way showership. Don't worry about how many certificates you have or don't have. Don't worry about what you feel particularly qualified in. Your passion, your compassion, and your presence will be the momentum that just takes you into the situations where you need to be showing up. Okay. And that could be a whole myriad of things. It could be just you observing something and making a comment that just cuts right to the truth, right to the chase of things. It could be you happen to be involved with, helping someone through a crazy situation. Or maybe it's just you holding space somewhere. Maybe it's you are being called to be in the company of a beloved who's on their way of exiting this world. Maybe you're just here to create art and use your creativity to bring in new ideas of doing things, new ways of doing things. Way showership can mean lots of things. It does not necessarily mean being a leader of a group of people or being a business owner or being an entrepreneur, though it could include those things, right? So it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be that. Pretty much you have everything you need right now in this moment to step into your way showership. You have everything you need right now because all you need is your inner compass, your presence, you being open to all of your capacities, and that's all that's needed. That's all that's required. So I've been asked to talk about some pretty crazy stuff, like always, right? Our dear sister Starshine, Beverly, put a post in the Rise of the Multidimensional Human group where it talked about a financial collapse and the bringing forward of a quantum financial system. Now, I think that we have all heard different narratives and different sides of the fences and aisles, so to speak, that speak about this. And there's a lot of fear mongering and there's a lot of, panic and all this stuff. But those of you who are paying attention, my dear brother, sister, starseeds and way showers, you guys realize that every few months, there's some reason why the sky is falling. There's some, major panic button getting hit. In the beginning, it was COVID. Then it was the conspiracy theories of forced vaccinations. Then there was the actual application of vaccinations, and then there was the colluding and coercing people, taking rights away, people getting muzzled. There was all these. It was one crisis after another. Now, I think that we have learned, especially if you've been alive if you've been around before 1999, I think we have learned that there's a lot of hype in our world via social media, via alternative media, via mainstream media, via our political leaders, all of them hit that extreme button over and over again to get a reaction. They want people to be in reaction mode, okay? And this financial collapse stuff is another level of that. And let me explain a little bit what I mean. Does it mean that the financial revision is happening? Yes. Why do I know that it's happening? It's because, and that's because of our celestial alignments going on. Okay. And when I talk about celestial alignments, it's specifically referring to the energies of the Saturn Uranus squares. These Saturn Uranus squares have been going on for quite some time. And this year is the last of the squares before the conjunction happens again. Okay. Hello, Joanne. Good to see you. Hey, Crystal. Nice to see you, dear. So because this energy is in the Akashic, right, field, then that means that we absolutely are going to deal with it. We absolutely are being faced with having to revise, recreate, reimagine what the different systems will be. This is absolutely true. But the options we have are far beyond the ones that are being put in front of us. Okay. We are facing a very sophisticated system that knows how to manipulate humanity. Matter of fact, they have it down to a science. They have it down to a science. Now, political groups study humans and they do lots of test research. They do lots of, what do they call that when they, not just polling people, but they actually test narratives out. What kinds of narratives will fly with our constituents? What kind of narratives won't fly, right? And that's really how they decide to talk about things, is like, what are the speaking points that actually get some landing with our people, right? It has nothing to do if it's the truth or not. It's because they want to hook you in. They want to talk directly to you. They want to get your life force energy interested, right? So, and this is so with movies too. They do all sorts of tests and analytics with movies. They do. I remember being taking part in a study when they were talking about, or they were experimenting with different movie trailers. They showed me 3 different movie trailers. I was in a mall just walking. Let me back up for a second. I was in a mall just walking along. I fit the stereotype. So someone approached me and said, "Hey, we have a survey that we want to show you. We want to give you, but first watch these 3 trailers, and then we'll give you the survey at the end." And I think they're giving me a voucher or something for an espresso or something like that. I don't know. I can't remember. It was a long time ago, but there was some sort of exchange involved. And I was like, "Yeah, sure." Right. So they showed me 3 different movie trailers, and then they quizzed me afterwards about what from the trailer, what does the plot seem to be from the trailer? What does it seem like? What kind of movie does it seem like it is? And is this the kind of movie that I particularly would be interested in watching? Right. In this case, it seemed like it was like a action movie, right? And I was just kind of like, I gave them my answers. And like months later, like maybe 3 months later, I saw one of the trailers that I was shown on TV. Okay. And they were testing it out. They were testing what's landing, how is it landing, and the kinds of people that it's landing. And it's all about market research. They're all about testing the market, see what is going to give them the maximum impact. Now, there are entire think tanks dedicated to studying humans and how they're going to react to things, how they're going to respond to things. And if you take this up a notch, even when you start talking about Project Mockingbird and all that other stuff, and that takes this study and this manipulation up to a whole nother level. Okay, so I'm not here to argue about what's happening on that level or not. I just want to make the point that there's a lot of money and interest in understanding humans and how to get them to respond in the way that you want them to respond. There's a lot of study in this. I mean, even baby products. If I was a stay-at-home mom, guys, so I had joined this. There's this product review group where I reviewed vacuum cleaners and cleaning products. So at the beginning of the month, I'd get a box. and it would be full of cleaning products. And then, somewhere else down the line, I would be given a vacuum, upright vacuum versus a pull along vacuum, and then I had to fill out this 100-question questionnaire about the vacuum and about the cleaning products. And I got like $50 a month doing that, giving them my opinion as a stay-at-home mom about these different products. Okay. So, there's a lot of interest in this kind of thing. Algorithms on the internet. You guys ever notice that you do one search on something and then all of a sudden all the commercials are in your email now, and everywhere you go where there are random commercials, which they're not random at all, they're all along the lines of what you were searching for. My kids even made the observation of just having their phones around when they were talking about something, looking into something, doing a search on something, and then they were getting the ads for that particular thing that they were looking into. So, there's this really sophisticated study about humans and how to have things land, how to have things, stack the deck in your favor. And this is how billionaires think, guys. So there's there's a 6-figure mindset, there's a 7-figure mindset, and then there's the billionaire mindset. The billionaire mindset actually is greatly different than the millionaire mindset. And I just know this because I personally know some folks that are in that category. And the millionaire mindset is really, they know how to scale. They definitely know how to work business. They can run a really great team. They have a great idea and they know how to leverage it and make the most out of that idea. That's a millionaire mindset. A billionaire mindset is different. They have an idea, they have the team, yeah. They have all those things in place, but they know how to stack the deck. So they are taking as little risk as possible. Usually, none of them are risking their own money. They have a bunch of investors, so they have a bunch of people that have a vested interest, right? That are going to work with them. So they have instantly this huge network of people that are now have a vested interest in making something successful. So you stack the deck business-wise, and then they stack the deck publicly as well. A great example is using the GoFundMe pages. So here's the thing about GoFundMe, right? We think, us normal people, we think GoFundMe, when you need to raise money for a particular cause, you go to GoFundMe or something like that to do that. But the billionaire mindset, that's not what it's for. Yes, they use other people's assets, but they already have all the assets they need. They use GoFundMe to generate interest, to generate the I am a special privileged fan inside VIP experience for people. So they can not only get money but they have a pool of people who are fans that they can study and they can pump for information and they can test things out on them and see what works and what doesn't work. So they quite literally get paid to test their ideas and messaging and products out on their fans. Okay, so that's the billionaire mindset. No matter what direction they are going, they're making money. They're making money hand over fist. Okay, so just to frame that up a little bit, guys, that, we are studied. They watch us very closely. The powers that be watch us very, very closely so they can get a better understanding of how we tick and what we're likely to do or not do. Okay, so that's on a very mundane business kind of level. Now, let's take this into a much bigger scope now. And I'm going to start talking about the narratives that we have going on here. So we have political narratives. We have all sorts of doomsday, conspiracy, all this stuff. And you guys know my view. The political narratives are all about strategically pitting people up against each other. Ultimately, they are all running the same game, but externally, they use the very closely studied narratives to trigger people and have them spend their mental, emotional energy at having an enemy, having someone that is against them. That's the progressive versus the conservative, the Democrat versus the Republican, the pro-life versus the abortion, pro-abortion, right? Just one opposition after another. And there's people who really believe in the particular narrative, and they're going to put their energy out that way. And they are going to align themselves with a group of people, whether they agree with everything about them or not. simply because there's this one little narrative that's very important to them personally. Okay. So the political game is this amazing, sophisticated theater of creating divide, right? Artfully creating divide, actually creating a crisis to get a reaction so some kind of solution can be offered. So there could be a hero, okay? And that hero may be a senator introducing whatever, a modification of legislation, whatever. There's lots and lots of things, right? So if you look at the conservative versus the progressive, that's very, seems like it's really clearly divided. But the pieces, the narratives that are most important for us to pay attention to are the ones, the undercurrent of the ones where they all agree. Those are the ones that are very dangerous to us. Those are the ones that actually matter. Great example is the U.S. proxies war in the U.S. proxy war in the Ukraine. All right, we're arming them, we're training them, we're giving them money. All right, that sounds like, well, that's our war, right? Well, if you look in the history of what the United States has done in that region of the area, they have been talking about leveraging the Ukraine against Russia for decades, all the way back to Condoleezza Rice. You guys remember Condoleezza Rice? Okay, I mean, she made history in a lot of ways. So both sides of the aisle are in favor of the war because both sides of the aisle are making lots of money. They're making money hand over fist because they're invested in this, okay? And of course, there's other leaders too. So that's one example. Another example can be this money crash. Both sides of the aisle are preparing their constituents for a financial crisis, okay? Now, our particular president, I really haven't heard a lot of him much. Actually, I don't really think anybody's taking him serious anymore because he said something about there isn't really inflation. But I mean, come on, who buys that? So I mean, he's kind of a lame duck in a lot of ways. I'm not really into the politics, but what I get from the sense of the larger political arena is that people are treating him like he's a lame duck, right? So why do they do these things? Why are these narratives across the board? Why do they happen? Right? And it's because on a quantum level, we create things. And the person and the narrative or the intent that has the most people invested in it and putting their life force energy into creating it, that is the reality that unfolds. Okay? Okay, so coming back to the square Uranus, this Uranus Saturn square. This is the last square that has been going on for many years. Okay, and these squares aren't just a one-off. So because the planets go backwards and forwards over this squared position a couple times, up to 3 times, I'm told. Okay, so the first square happened a bunch of times over a course of a few years. The opposition happened a few times over a few years, and then we have this square that has been going like this, and this is the final time that it's going to be within less than 1 degree. Okay, and this has to do with sudden upheaval in alignment with change. All right, sudden upheaval, hence Uranus. Uranus is all about change, but Uranus is also the character that embodies the frequency of the new paradigm because it rules Aquarius and we're going into the Aquarian age, right? So you have these squares, and Saturn is the one that has been holding all those structures. Now we get into the multidimensional understanding. Saturn has dark lords that have been infiltrating humanity's consciousness to create these structures that are not in alignment with our highest good. They're not in alignment with life. They're in alignment with power over dynamics. Power over dynamics is another way of saying power abuse, abusing power, not being in right relationship with the use and application of power. And this all started with the hijacking of our royal lines that goes back thousands of years, okay? The royal lineage were originally highly evolved DNA biosuit capabilities. So these evolved consciousness can come and be embodied. But this got hijacked. This got hijacked with creating the hybrids. This is, go back to Sumeria, go back to the time when Anunnaki were walking around openly on this planet. Okay, go back to those times. That's the time that this stuff was hijacked. That's the time where the most recent manifestation of the hijacking happened. And this is after the fall of Atlantis, right? There was still power over dynamics there. And there was a seeding before that where there were power dynamics there. It just keeps getting, the power over dynamics just keep splitting off and narrowing our reality and creating more density to more density until we get this reality where people believe that what you see is what you get. They really believe that, everything is hard, right, and static, and the 3D realm doesn't have magic, and it doesn't have psychic intuitive capacities that are relevant. There's no spirits. There's blah, 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 blah. But of course, they only can cut that out so much because it's a part of who we are. Being a part of the universe is within us. So there's a very significant portion of this human realm where humans cannot give up the idea, the concept that there is a creator. There is an infinite being that is a creator of this entire reality. Now, of course, our religions are hijacked too, right? Because they are full of God poison. And not only that, but they also do abuse power over dynamics. I mean, look at the Catholic Church. 80,000 priests, guys, have been found guilty and put to jail. 80,000. Those are only the ones that got caught. You see, this was an entire culture of power abuse. Then you have then you have all the shenanigans happening in the Mormon church. They also got found out. Then you have, so you have all these different large religious structures that are getting revealed as being not what they were built to be. They're not having the impeccability, the integrity that they were thought to have. Okay. So this square, taking the Uranian energy, that's the energy of the new paradigm, challenging and breaking down the structures held in place by Saturn and the Dark Lords of Saturn. Who are the Dark Lords of Saturn? I want to get into that because that's really what we're watching get challenged. And that is really what the narratives are meant, that are tricking us to do. These narratives that are put forward are tricking us into investing our time, our life force energy, our focus in creating a reality that we don't actually want, creating a reality that we think we have no choice but to endure. And this is where we have to wake up to our sovereignty. We need to understand that these squares and oppositions of Uranian and Saturn energies, the way we take advantage of those windows of opportunity is by getting clear about our value systems and what we want. It's not about the shit pie that we get handed to us by the powers that be that have driven this global existence into the ground. Okay? I'm serious. We do not have to take what's given to us. We have options here. Why? Because we're all multidimensional beings. The veils that have been separating us are no longer in place. We just need to wake up to our larger capacity and use it. Commit to it. Okay? And what I mean by commit to it, I mean commit to your values. Stand up for your values no matter what. Now, I know I talked about the vaccine narrative and how most of the people I've talked to that got the vaccine were coerced into it, right? You're going to get fired if you don't get it. You can't see your mom if you don't get it. Parents were not letting their grandparents see their grandkids unless they got it, right? I mean, it was all these difficult ultimatums that were being faced with, and people were getting manipulated into compromising their values, okay? Now, many people are now awake on a much deeper level about what, in regards to what this is. So now you're coming to a different kind of resolve. Okay. Now, I'm not, who cares about the vaccine if you're pro or against? It doesn't matter. This is about us claiming our reality and steering it in the direction that we want. Okay. If you personally want a life where that's the path that it's going to be, then, that is your business. You do that because we only have ourselves to reference when it comes to creating our reality and to dreaming our world into being. Okay. We only have ourselves. We can't reference other people, because when we reference other people, we are not taking ownership of what's living inside of us. We have to pay attention to what's living inside of us. That is what the authentic truth is. Just because someone says something over here and it seems like a great idea, and because we don't have a better idea ourselves, we're going to get into it. No, that's not taking responsibility. That's not taking responsibility of your being your authentic truth. Okay, you have to be your own authentic expression. That is what Uranus is forcing us into. I mean, when I say forcing it, I mean it's forcing it. It's a trial by fire, do or die kind of situation. So sorry, I'm trying to get to the points here with Uranus and Saturn. It's just difficult because there's all these little other things to weave in for that understanding to be more complete. Okay, so your value system. Now we know what the powers that be want. The powers that be, they want us to have a financial crisis where everybody loses everything and devise a system where all the people have to be dependent upon some sort of governing party for their basic necessities. Food, clothing, whatever, electricity. Okay. Now, I'm in Appalachia, and I don't know about if you guys know this about Appalachia. People are really into take care of their own. They don't want outsiders. They don't want big business. They don't want big banks. I mean, they're just like, if the world goes to shit, I got everything I need right here. I mean, so they have a very, very different attitude towards a lot of this stuff. And of course, there's other things in here too, but that's one of the attitudes that across the board, many, many, many folks that I've talked to are in resonance with. We take care of ourselves. We take care of our own. We don't need anybody telling us what to do. And for me, that's a value that I appreciate, because I'm about sovereignty. I'm about taking responsibility for yourself. You're taking responsibility for your health, taking responsibility for your wellness, taking responsibility for your happiness. Okay. So that means, there is no pointing the finger outwards that, I'm a miserable, broke, spiritual, whatever, because of this, this, and this, and this. It's like, no, that's a victim program. And yes, those finger points might be accurate, but until you face what you have to face, you're going to continue to be the victim for the rest of your life. I don't know about you, but I'm not interested in living that way. I want to face what I need to face. And, I might get knocked down, but I'll always get up. And that's what's important to me, is that I feel my own being. I'm always going to get up. No matter what knocks me down, I'm getting back up, because I'm not expecting life to be easy. I'm not expecting things to be, handed to me. I expect myself to show up with the sovereignty and responsibility that I have as a human being. I have my own thoughts. I have my own values. I have my own purpose. I have my own reasons that I'm engaging in this world and living a particular lifestyle. And those reasons are, and ultimately to be a benefit to humanity, but also, so I can look in the mirror and live inside of my own skin. It's like, I want to be on this planet. This planet is a beautiful, special place. It's a miracle that this planet is what it is, given all of the power over dynamics that have been going on here. So in a lot of ways, I'm like very separate from from the typical narrative. But let me get to the values. So Saturn's a big player here, right? And that's why a lot of people are saying that the financial system is definitely going to fall. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to fall as most definitely as the medical system, as the education system, as the military system, as the technology rollout, and religion. Okay. And that is because those are the dark lords of Saturn. Those are the structures that are getting challenged right now and broken down by Uranus. Now, this is a window of opportunity. I mentioned that before. But this window of opportunity isn't isolated to just the square or the 2-3 squares of the exact same angle that happened last year and the year before, nor is it simply just the opposition that happened several times years before that, and nor is it the the square that happened many years before that, or the conjunction that happened even more years before that. Those windows of opportunity are not the only windows. The big windows of opportunity happened decades ago. The decision was already made. The word has already been spoken. And how do I know about this? And that is, I'm talking about those harmonic convergences that happened. There was one in 86 and there was another one in the 90s. And the harmonic convergence was significant because that is where humanity had the opportunity to focus themselves and place their intent with their heart space. And I know hundreds of millions of people on this planet focused during the windows of those harmonic convergences, and their hearts called out for peace. Their hearts called out to the multiverse for the conflict to end and peace prevailing. Okay, who here remembers those harmonic convergences that happened? Who remembers them? One in 86. Another one, I think, was 90, maybe 98. Okay. And there was other windows too, but those were the real big ones. Those were the real big ones. And this is information that has come to me directly from the cosmic councils that have been interacting with this planet. There are cosmic councils of beings, and they don't go according to the religious structures or the nationality structures or anything like that. They are exercising according to cosmic law. Some might say lore, cosmic lore. And humanity has spoken. Humanity spoke. And everything is in cycles. So the reason why these windows of opportunity were important to be taken when they did is because this time that we're in right now is the closing of many cycles. And those harmonic convergences set the stage for these cycles. Okay, so the word was already spoken. Now we're seeing how these cycles are playing out the word. Okay, so, and it's not that we're just on this wild roller coaster ride and we have no choice but to go with what's given to us. No. This is a whole nother level. This is us stepping up into our sovereignty and showing what our value system is, showing what we want, creating what we want with our focus, with our energy, with our intention. Okay, by us spending time doing that, spending most of our time doing that, rather than suffering and preparing for the terrible nightmare that's in the, that the powers that be are feeding to our consciousness, then we are going to be fine as a collective. We are going to be fine. Humans on this planet will maintain their sovereignty and freedom. Okay, and it's just that things are framed up in such a way, it hits our fear button. It hits our crucifixion wounds. It really hits deeply embedded wounding in our subconscious that puts us in this suffering mode. Okay, but here's the thing: that you only can tap that button so much. You only can torture someone so much. Eventually, the nerve shuts off, and it doesn't take stimuli anymore. And that's what's happening to humanity. The sky they've been told the sky has been falling over and over and over again since even before COVID, but especially since COVID, that people are like, Jesus, I'm either going to live in total fear and terror, or I'm just going to, shut the TV off and live the life I want. And a lot of people are choosing that. Not just starseeds, normal humans are choosing this too. And that's a great thing. Okay, so let's get to the Dark Lords of Saturn and the structures that they are in charge of. Okay, what they have been holding in place, and then you'll see what I mean when I'm talking about these breakdowns. Okay, so the financial breakdown. What makes you think the financial breakdown is going to be any worse than the breakdown of our religious structures? Okay, just think about that. All right, so we have a Dark Lord of Saturn in charge of religion. Now, this is different than the Dark Lords of Jupiter and the spiritual mysteries and the occult. This is a different area. This is a different structure. And you can see how religions don't necessarily fall into the category of spiritual mystery schools and mysticism. Most people that I know that are involved in religious establishments, do it for several reasons. One is because they grew up that way, and that is their community. That is the community of people of like minds. That's their community support, and that is why they do the church thing. Okay. The other thing that I've observed is a lot of people believe that religious doctrine, or I'm sorry, principles and morals and stuff like that really help a human figure out how to be a good human being, how to be a good father, how to be a good mother, how to be good stewards of each other in a community. So there's a lot of people who really prescribe to certain religions because it gives them principles to living a fruitful human life, okay, to be a good person. And then the third is the actual spiritual stuff, where people are involved in their religion because they believe that God created them and they have a choice of going to either heaven or hell. Like there's some sort of consequence to their soul if they don't do what they're told by their religious structure. Okay. So these are the big things that, in my observation, humanity is dealing with when it comes to religion. Now, this is a structure, religious structure. This is, people tithing their money, the money getting allocated via a hierarchy. Okay, you have the guy at the top, and it is a guy. It's not a woman. There's no possibility of it being a woman. There's a guy at the top, and this is regardless of if you're Catholic or Orthodox or Protestant or Mormon. It's a guy at the top, and then there's a hierarchy that goes all the way down, and all the money that gets tithed to the organization gets fed into this hierarchy. Okay, so that structure is getting challenged, and the big result of that we can research and see of that challenge is the kind of thing that's going on with the Catholic Church. Now, the destruction of the Catholic Church has been happening for decades because of the scandal, right? The scandal of all of the pedophilia and priest child abuse, blah, 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 right? It's been going, but now it's getting to the point where a lot of people are disenchanted. They don't want to tithe their money anymore. They're not letting their children be exposed to these priests and nuns, stuff like this. They're pulling their life force out of the structure. And because they pull their life force out of the structure is starting to fall. This is what's important, guys. They're pulling their life force out of the structure, and now the structure is falling because it's not a living, breathing structure. It is something that is dead, that has to be constantly fed energy in order to continue. Okay, so our prayers, our focus, our money, our all this stuff is feeding into the system, and it gives it life. You take any one of those things away, and it's going to fall. And that's what we see happening with our religious structures. Okay, and it's not just the Catholic Church, but the Catholic Church is the most obvious because and it's most global. I have a dear starshine that was in Italy recently, and she made a comment about how there's these housing issues. There's all kinds of impoverished things. A lot of crisis going on in Italy right now, and they have like a single nun or a single priest in charge of this massive structure cathedral, but they're not opening up their doors to let anybody in. Okay, because it's for the holy, it's for the whatever, right? So these kinds of things are happening. These structures are falling apart. The reorganization of the assets is happening, which many people have reported, and stuff is going down. And publicly, in the collective, in the story is out that there is not impeccability or integrity within these religious structures. Okay, so that's one Dark Lord of Saturn that has been challenged, and we've seen where it's at now. Okay, it's been 22 years in the making where it's at now. Okay, next is the medical system. Oh boy, that's a big one. Medical system, right? Now, all right. So many of you who have not been a part of allopathic medicine, that any idea of holistic health and wellness has been under attack by the allopathic medicine establishment. Okay. Again, a guy, a hierarchy at the top, at the top. Maybe there's some women in there too, but a lot of them are, women men they're just, not necessarily in their feminine ways. They're trying to fall into a system. They're making themselves acceptable by a system that's extremely masculine and not very nurturing at all. So the medical system has been targeting holistic practitioners, herbal medicine people for generations. And just in the past 20 years, I can give you a list of doctors that have been politically assassinated, their characters completely assassinated, simply because they successfully found ways to cure different kinds of cancers. Okay, I'm not kidding. You would think that if health and wellness was truly the point of our allopathic medicine system, anybody that comes up with the cure of cancer would be venerated, would be celebrated, they'd get an award. No, instead, what happens to them, their clinics get closed, they get publicly smeared, their characters assassinated, their credentials taken, and many of them, in a matter of survival, flee the country. Okay? They have to flee the country. This has happened over and over and over again. I've been involved in holistic practices since I was a teenager. I was 19. I'm not going to tell you how many decades that was. That was a long time ago, right? So I was exposed to these ideas at a young age, and I actually met people who cured their end-stage cancer. I'm talking about 4-stage cancer. One of the ladies, it was her breast cancer that spread throughout her entire body, her brain, her lymph. They said, okay, you have weeks to live, get your affairs in order. And, she broke down and was terribly upset. Her name was Janet. And she told her sister, I don't want to die. I'm not ready to die. And her sister and all the family got together and they decided they were going to help her step into macrobiotics. Macrobiotics is a specific way of cooking and living. It's a lifestyle. And she was telling me this story 20 years after the fact. And it was like in the late 90s. I'm sitting there having dinner with her. She runs a macrobiotic Meals on Wheels for sick people and for the elderly. And I was like, how did you get into that? And she told me her story. I was blown away. But wouldn't you know it, her story was not unique in that room. There were many, many people that cured themselves of cancer. One of them, his name was Dr. Ruggles. He was, late 80s, maybe 90, sharp as a tack, medical doctor, family practitioner, cured his prostate cancer with macrobiotics. Okay. So, this is a medical doctor that, that is giving his testimony to holistic health and wellness in this particular practice. So this is something that's been around for decades and decades and decades, and yet it's not prolific. It's not well known. They don't encourage it. And it's because the Dark Lord of Saturn has nothing that medical hijacking has nothing to do with health and wellness. It has to do with creating dependency, taking power away from people. Okay, that's what that particular Dark Lord was for, to take the power away from the people so they become dependent on the doctor or the allopathic system. So now this is exactly what's going on with the COVID crisis. All of a sudden, anybody who has any kind of idea about COVID, other than the policymakers say is real science, are wrong, and they're gone after. You guys, I don't have to tell you, you guys have been probably seeing this drama unfold. Doctors that claim to successfully treat COVID with different protocols than remdesivir and a ventilator are, they're totally assassinated. Character assassination, and they get fired, they get, totally persecuted. Okay. Instead, hey, why not make a study of what they did? Let's test it out scientifically, see if it really works. Can we reproduce these results? That's what a real scientist does in my mind. Okay, there's another fellow scientist that says they did this. Now let's test it out if we can reproduce the result. That's all that needed to happen. But instead, that's not what happened. Okay, so that's the second Dark Lord to fall of Saturn. Okay, when I'm saying falling, I'm saying that the truth is revealed. It's in front of us. The powers that be are not yet willing to fess up, but we know, we're aware. There's more people who are aware, who are noticing these things than not. And they are not yelling and screaming, from the rooftops and from the mountaintops. So sometimes I think we wish they would, but they are a silent majority. They are a silent majority of the people here. Okay. Next Dark Lord to fall. I'm wondering if you guys can guess what the next Dark Lord is to fall. And that is our education system. Okay. Parents fought for their lives, fought for their children, huge during this COVID crisis. Parents stood up to school boards because they did not share the value system that the school board shared. Okay? They did not. They stood up to the powers that be, and now our education system is more broke than ever. You have teachers fleeing from the system. You have parents pulling when they have the option, when they have the luxury, when they have the strategy, they're pulling their kids out of the system, right? You have school boards abandoning entire national organizations because they do not agree with the value system, right? You have kids that that are miserable. You have kids that are absolutely miserable in these systems. Okay. I don't know about you. I lived in a county with the third highest teen suicide rate in the country. And it was an affluent county. This is including Boulder. Boulder proper has the highest suicide rate anywhere. Okay. And you would think that these are really wealthy, affluent, alternate-minded people. They should be, they should all be good to go. But no. That's not the case, because those aren't real values. That's all lip service. A lot of those folks are not actually living the values that they claim to have. It's a stereotype, right? Okay, next Dark Lord system. All right, now I'm listing this so you can take a minute or 10 or 30 or 60 and contemplate what your values are in regards to these systems, because these systems are getting revealed. They're breaking down, okay? So this breakdown is an opportunity for you to seed what it is you want with these systems. Okay, what it is you want with these systems. For example, education. I would love to see an educational system that actually feeds and enhances a child's natural inclination. So if the kid is naturally scientific and artistic, then feed them arts and sciences. Really set them up to succeed in those areas. If the child is naturally very nurturing, right, and group family oriented, let them do that. Let them pursue things that give them opportunities to nurture. I would love to see an education system that teaches kids about wild foraging, medicine plants in the forest, or how to grow food, things that are very practical to living in a human body, life on earth, right? To having a sovereign lifestyle. I would love to see an education system that does that, right? Now, there's more. The next Dark Lord of Saturn that is getting challenged is that of our ecology, how we treat our environment. Now, if you notice, some of these narratives have already been spun and politicized. And a great example is the progressive green movement. Okay, the progressive green movement on the surface is exactly what everybody wants. We want clean energy. We want clean air. We want clean water. But that particular movement has been hijacked to take away the sovereignty of municipalities, of townships, of counties, of states, and even our own federal government, where it all gets centralized in a corporation somewhere, a foundation somewhere that doesn't have to operate according to any guiding principles, such as what, our Constitution, stuff like this. So it's like, that narrative, the green narrative, has been hijacked because it is time. That Uranian energy is unstoppable. They have to address the ecological crisis that we're in. They have to address it. And so they are addressing it in a way that feeds the powerful and weakens the everyday person even more. So now there's a whole nother way to leverage money and power again. So ecologically, what's important to you? What values are significant for our leaders to be guiding humanity? What values are important to you? For me, I think about stewardship. I would love to see a leader that promoted proper stewardship of our resources, proper stewardship of our rivers and streams, proper stewardship of our forests. Of you see what I mean? So it's when you go into the idea of proper stewardship, then it's not about global warming, because that ship has sailed. Our environment's not going to recover from the damage that's been done. Now it's about us living with our environment, living with the changes. How do we create systems that are flexible and moving with these big changes that happen? Okay. Another side to the Dark Lord of Saturn of our ecosystem is our food system. Okay. Our food system, run by Big Pharma, we know this, Monsanto, all that stuff, is not conducive to working with our global changes, with our environmental changes. It's about homogenizing. It's about making everything, mass crops of the same breed. Okay. It takes away the diversity of our food, and therefore sets the stage for big problems. Say if there's a blight that comes and wipes out all the corn. Well, you know what? We'd be really screwed if that happened, because most of the products that we have on our shelves in the grocery store have some sort of corn derivative within it. Okay, so I'm just touching on these pieces so you can get clear inside of yourself on where your value system is. So you have great discernment on where you're going to spend your energy, where you're going to spend your focus, where you're going to spend your creativity. So if you spend your energy and focus resisting what you don't want, that's you getting tricked into participating in creating what you don't want. You see what I mean? So we have to think about this multidimensionally. We are sovereign creator beings. That means we create according to the truth inside of us, not the program being shown to us. The reflection isn't the truth. The truth is right here inside. So where are your values with the ecological issues? Okay. Right now, people are demonizing people, the narrative as it is, they're demonizing people that drive big trucks. It's like it's their fault that we have this crisis, the global warming crisis. It's like, no, the powers that be, the irresponsibility of the leaders that we've had over the generations and decades, they are the ones that have been driving this into the ground. The largest polluter on this planet is, guess what? Our military. Our military is the largest polluter on this planet. They are the biggest culprit. Are we scaling back our military? No. And in fact, our leadership is upscaling our military, is creating even more war, even more conflict. Okay, that just shows you how they could give a crap about ecological responsibility. That's somewhere that's in some convenient narrative to impose taxes and put restrictions on the average human. Okay, that's why they're interested. Okay, all right, getting to the next Dark Lord of Saturn. The next Dark Lord of Saturn is, you guessed it, the military structure, the hierarchy, the power over dynamics, the ways and reasons why we wage war. Okay, that is a huge manipulation going on, guys. You see it right now? You see it now, right? How about now? Okay, so war, I mean, everybody's focused on Ukraine, but I don't know if you guys know this, our military has been murdering millions of people around this planet for decades. I mean, you go ahead, look at the Yemen crisis, okay? Hillary Clinton negotiated an agreement with the United Emirates and Saudi Arabia to equip them with weapons so they can create a genocide in Yemen. Okay, another proxy war that we, the United States, funded and supplied the weapons to do that. And then you also have all of the, you have the Syrian crisis, which of course has been something that, has been targeted for a long time. All of the instability of the Middle East has been the US in some way, shape, or form. Okay. We promote war because our leaders make money on it. Okay, that's why we do it. We quietly promote war. We say shame on China, shame on Russia, shame on what's that one guy, that one leader in Africa, but they are simply doing the same things that we're doing. Okay, so our military is drastically out of balance. Our military is really something that is a major domino to fall. And it may seem like it's stronger than ever, but it's not. It's not. There's a huge fracture within the military. And what brought the huge fracture within the military? COVID and vaccines. Okay. Actually, I have a friend that is involved in the defense industry, and they are desperate for people. They can't find people that want to work for the military industrial complex. They quite literally are having a brain drain experience because they cannot find qualified applicants to fill their myriad of positions they have. I mean, we're talking about, really high level skill sets of people, engineers, scientists, people with highly cultivated intelligence and skills, not interested in investing their time and energy in propping up, let's say, the defense industry. Okay, this is not something that's talked about, but yet it's a reality. Okay, so quite literally, our military is crumbling from the inside out. Okay. Okay, let me stop and check in with the comments because the hour totally went by and I still have the rest of Dark Lords to go through, and I'm going to go through them. Let me say hi to dear sister Joanne and Beverly. Hi guys, I don't have an update, so not sure what's happening. Hi all. All right, hi Polly. Yes, a few years ago, there were strange deaths revealed by many doctors across the U.S. within months, and then the news stopped. Okay, so there was a gentleman, Dr. Mercola is tracking all of those deaths. He actually he took his website down, but quite literally hundreds and hundreds of holistic doctors who mysteriously suicided themselves, stuff like that. Time to, okay, good. Thank you. I'm assuming the internet is not working wherever she is. Yes, I'm having issues too. Oh, no. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Well, hopefully my device will record this because this is important. I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to keep on going on the Dark Lords so we can get clear, and then I'll download the video and post it again so it's a cleaner version. Okay, so the next Dark Lord of Saturn that is falling is is technology. We are finding that technology has been used. A toxic technology has been getting implemented on this planet, and it does not serve life. It is not healthy for us. So that's just one version. Our relationship to technology is extremely toxic and creating a lot of health issues, not just physical, but mental, emotional, spiritual issues. So it's from the blue light stimulating our adrenals all the time to the different propagation of ideas and manipulation of consciousness. But then you also have the actual EMF reality of our technology. So all of this is getting revealed, and all of this is also falling away. Now, this one is less obvious because Uranus, Aquarius, Uranian energy, Aquarian energy, it's the same. Okay. Uranus is about technology, right? It's about technology of the new paradigm. So we actually need to take the technology that we have and figure out a way for it to be in right relationship with us moving forward into the new paradigm. There's no, hitting an EMF pulse, or electromagnetic pulse and ending all technology and us going back to the dark ages. That's not what's going to happen, because that's not the energies that we're moving into. The energies that we're moving into is us finding right relationship with technology. And that means our other value systems need to be in line. Our other value systems need to be in impeccability for us to find our path through that. And then And of course, the last Dark Lord is our money system. Our money system, our economic system, our banking system, all the same. Our banking system is falling. Now, it's going to fall to the degree of our medical system. It's going to fall to the degree of our education system. Now, and what does that mean? That means that more and more people are choosing to pull their life force energy, pull their investment out of these structures. Because once we do that en masse, these structures fall. Just like the example with the religion in the beginning of the conversation, many people are abandoning the church because of these abuses that have happened. And because of that, the hierarchy falls because it's not getting fed the life force energy with the prayers and the meditations and church services. And it's falling because it's not getting the tithing, the money. Okay. So those same things are in the process of being withdrawn from these other structures. The more we withdraw these from the structures, okay, they're going to crumble. They're in the process of crumbling. And yes, there's a desperation to put up the new system as soon as possible because of this crumbling. Because as these systems, these Dark Lord structures fall, the powers that be, the elite, whatever you want to call that, don't have the power that they once had. Now, that's why they want the reset, so they can stay in power. But there's other options. We have quantum financing available, quantum computers available, which is fascinating, guys. If you haven't looked at the D-Wave quantum computer, it's absolutely amazing, this technology. It's actually, it's kind of scary because until the operators get some really strong moral and ethical values put in place in relationship to these other dynamics, the quantum computer can cause a lot of problems. But when in the right hands with someone with good intent, I feel like that's actually a really interesting solution to some of our issues. And the other thing is that that's why people are all going crazy about blockchain, because a blockchain is a way to put your patent, let's say your ownership on an idea, and place it on the internet. When you place it on the internet through blockchain, because it's considered unhackable, you are able to put things on the internet and maintain the patent, maintain the ownership of that intellectual property. So there are things emerging for us and moving forward, but we have to get these other areas straight. We need to get our values clear about our education system, about our medical system, about our ecological, and about our environment, and about food, and our principles around that. We need to get clear on our medical system. We need to get those values handled. We need to clean up the relationship with religion. We need to bring religion back into harmonic relationship with the goodness, with the actual, with the divinity of humanity, right? With what the divinity within us. And then, of course, we need to get our military in check and actually use our military as a force that benefits humanity versus creates war and, war, death, and creates more war, death, and destruction. Okay. All right, so I breezed through those. Those are the big energies held by Saturn. Make a list of your values that you have and pick any group of values from that list and choose to focus on that. Make them talking points when you meet with your friends. Make them points of interest when you're talking ideas with the people in your community. Really put energy into the seed values you have in these different categories, and start, getting momentum as far as others that agree with you, others that are in resonance with these seeds. And as you get more people in resonance with these ideas, with these values of what they want, we are going to dominate the multidimensional field of what's coming, and not the powers that be that are all about, more of the same, more power over dynamics, transhumanism, all that stuff. It's like, no. Life is sacred. This planet is sacred. And until we all step into that, we are not going to be in right relationship with with ourselves or with each other. Okay. So no more of the usual. Now it's time for us to dream something new, new ideas, new inspirations, new motivations, and really make that the priority of our focus, the priority of our efforts, of our life force energy, and do that first. Then maybe give some time to these other lies and manipulations and stuff, just because you want to be up to date on the news or whatever. But really, number one, what's important to you? Number one, what's important to you? Is there another person in your periphery that has a similar resonance? Now, when you guys talk, what can you do together, right? And what you do together, at the very least, is support and inspire each other to keep going. Life is not easy. Yes, it's full of miracles. Yes, it's possibility to be in the flow of things being graceful and easy. Absolutely, that is all possible. And absolutely, that all happens. But that doesn't mean that it's not challenging to get up out of bed, to face the day, right? Face all the things you're feeling and bombarded with, and stay focused on what's important to you. All of that is dependent upon what you choose, how you choose to spend your time. If you choose to spend your time to work a job that you hate, to come home to a relationship that doesn't feed you, to come home to kids that are upset and angry, right? If that is how you're allocating your time, no wonder you don't want to wake up. No wonder you don't want to get out of bed. Okay? We have to do it. No one else is going to do it for us. You choosing to spend your time on things that feed your soul, that bring you beauty, that inspire yourself and others. That is what's going to help you get through these tough times. That's what's going to help you get through these pieces, so you can wake up excited for the day, so you can face and arise to these very unique challenges that we're getting faced with. It's just going to get more intense. So this is why I'm saying this to you guys. We have choices. We have power here. We have to be willing to do it, though. We have to be willing to do the work. We have to be willing to, work hard, dig deep. Okay? So we can face the day, face the moment, alchemize where it's possible, transmute and transform where it's invited, where it feels good to do it. And then step by step, day by day, you're that much closer to realizing what it is you want, as in manifesting it, okay? If you do this with your focus and your intent and your actions, step by step, day by day, you're going to be building that new whatever value system that you have, that in that new structure that you want to see happen. You do that. I do that. We do that. That's where our power is. Okay, loves, I'm so sorry about the technical issues. That's really too bad that my internet is not so great. I do want to let you guys know that the module 1 of our Healer Acceleration Lab, it's a 2-month module. It starts next week. And if you're interested in it, the topic is recapitulation and death rights. This is such a huge topic, and I could just go on a tangent right here about it, but it's really, really potent and powerful for us to step into the ability to facilitate an effective recapitulation process, which is a way of releasing subconsciously held energies, subconsciously pent up energies that have been creating energy drains, that have been weakening us, weakening our flow, weakening the life force energy that's available to us on a daily basis. So being able to do a recapitulation is a really potent thing that we can do for friends and family, stuff like that. And plus, it's a transformation process for yourself, because you'll have plenty of recapitulation opportunities within this training. And then there's the death rights, which is facilitating a releasing of unresolved issues with ancestors and beloveds. So the next generation is that much more free and liberated. And plus, your ancestor gets quite literally carried home in a very beautiful and compassionate way. So that starts next week. That's module 1 of the Healer Acceleration Lab. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you want to participate in the cultivation of these topics, I encourage you to check out the Rise of the Multidimensional Human group in Facebook. if you're still doing Facebook. And if not, we have a Telegram group called Multidimensional Human, and there are really cool community of conversations that happen there. Hope to see you guys in one of those places. Love you. Let's see. And if you really enjoy our videos, please support us by liking and subscribing and sharing with your friends and leaving a comment. Let us know that you stopped by. All right, guys, that's it for me. Love you guys. See you until next time. Make it a great day. Bye.